Survivability in the Division 2. You really can't have enough of it. But what is survivability? Time to kill, armor regen, repair skills, armor on kill? Well, it's really all of the above, plus situational awareness and player skill and play style. And we're gonna get into some of that today.
Well, you can tell by the way I use my walk.
So the other day, somebody asked me, hey Tux, I want a build that has high armor regen and that shreds. And we created that build yesterday. If you haven't checked it out, I recommend you do. Today's build demonstrates that there are other ways to add survivability without having to load on tons of armor. So let's look at armor regen. So this Emperor's Guard Knee-Pad has 1% armor regen, which is great. You really want your armor regen to come in percentages. But the deal is, when it comes to armor regen, it's worth more if you have more armor on your build. So it's relative to the amount of armor that you have equipped. And so armor regen is a form of recovery, but it's also a form of resistance. And what I mean by that is that you can heal through the damage that you're taking. So that's why people want high levels of armor regen, is so that they can not only heal quickly, but also heal through damage while they're taking it, and then in turn kill the enemy before they kill them. Now, of course, the catch to that is that if you want armor regen to be worth a damn, you're gonna usually have to have high amounts of armor to go along with that, so that you get more heals per second. And so that can be tough, because obviously the more armor you load onto your build, the less damage you're putting out. So it's sort of a contradiction, because like we said, when it comes to survivability, time to kill is the biggest slice of the survivability pie. So the goal really is to add high heals per second while minimizing the damage you have to sacrifice to get that. Armor regen isn't always the answer. Did you also have armor on kill? The problem with armor on kill is it doesn't add any level of resistance along with it. It's only after the fact recovery. But sometimes it's suitable. It's great. Just be willing to take a lot of damage and be confident that you're going to get the kill and recover from the damage that you just took. That's great, but it's a different way of playing. It's less tankiness, so to speak. So this build that I have for you today is really interesting. Again, it's built on the layered system of protection, which we call Invisishield. This build is relying on a different form of recovery. Besides being layered, the base of this build is repair skills. What's cool about repair skills is that it has nothing to do with how much armor you have. The healing on this build is actually pushes up to over 30,000, say 36,000. The total heals per second on this build is over 100,000. So repair skills has nothing to do with how much armor you have. It's going to heal you what it does regardless of how much armor that you have. So if you have 1 million armor, or you have 500,000 armor, or you have 200,000 armor, it's always going to heal at the value that it's telling you. If you do your build accordingly, you can have massive heals per second while still running maximum red cores without running any extra armor. Now, I do have a blue core here for a different reason, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But as you can see, I have 5 red cores on this build, and I'm healing for over 100,000 heals per second. That's massive, and that takes a lot for an armor regen build to do. So with an armor regen build, you're gonna have to have lots of armor to get armor regen per second to go over 100,000. So you're not only gonna have to invest in armor, but you're also gonna have to invest in the armor regen slots. So what ends up happening with an armor regen build is you end up dedicating a lot to that armor regen, and anything you dedicated to your added survivability, you're taking away from the key piece of survivability, which is time to kill. And so this build attempts to preserve that, or really balance it, I should say. So when you're looking for a really strong build that has fast recovery and that can also give you some additional resistance by healing through damage, look at repair skills. Don't always look at armor regen combinations. And the reality is, I just got to tell you, armor isn't worth a crap in this game. The enemies take it away in about one bullet. bullet. I mean, on average, these enemies are hitting between 150 and 200,000 per round. And an armor core attribute is worth 170,000 armor. So if you invest in a bunch of armor, they take it away in just a few bullets, you know? So what you're looking at really, the goal is really to have an armor pool. And this build has an infinite amount of armor because they take it down and then you heal through it. They take it down and you heal through it. And so you just have millions upon millions upon millions of armor without ever having to use an armor cake. So like I said earlier, we have a layered system of protection here. And so the layers are actually repair skills, protection from elites, bonus armor, and armor regen. And then we also have armor on kill. Now there's many ways you can make the same build, so don't get too attached or fixated on the way I have it set up or the weapons that I've chosen. You can go with almost any weapon that you want. Let's start with the weapons. So I'm running the Doctor's Home. In the end, I tried multiple weapons and I always come back to the Doctor's Home for these types of builds. It's really, really a great weapon, especially for solo PVE, so high survivability builds. Okay, so it's got a 350 RPM. That's an elevated RPM. This is the M1A CQB. And so that's an elevated RPM for an M1A. Okay, 417 base damage, 15 in the mag. We got damage to targets out of cover. Mine's not all maxed out. 2.3 reload. And then Doctor's Home is basically you're marking targets and getting 15% armor on kill through this kit that you have to pick up. Okay, so you pick up this kit and you get instant armor on kill. And so that's like armor on kill is just another form of heals. It doesn't add resistance. It's just pure recovery. So that's the difference between heals per second and armor on kill. But it's a big jolt in it. And so again, I like having different types and layers of heals or protection. And so in this case, again, we have armor on kill, armor regen, and repair skills all together, making you feel like a tank. And so this gun has a really good DPS. So, you know, this is where I started. I actually started with the M1A CQB, and I started with this because I know some people don't like the Doctor's Home, and so I do have gameplay footage with this. It's basically the same thing, but as you can see, the RPMs are less. It's 30 RPM less, and that's a big deal. If you look at the mods in the Doctor's Home, it comes with a lot more handling and accuracy and stability and all that stuff. And so it actually does a way better job at landing those headshots, I gotta say. But you can mimic that. You can load up your M1A CQB with more weapon handling and stability if you want to. So this one had damage to armor, but I was running Reformation, which is giving me 30% more repair skills for 15 seconds instead of the kit, which is giving me 15% armor on kill. The same, but different. So all you have to do with Reformation is land a headshot. You don't have to get a headshot kill or anything. So it's really easy to acquire this talent. Where the Doctor's Home, you have to actually get a kill to get that trophy. Now, when I was running the M1A CQB, and you'll see in the gameplay footage, I was actually pairing it up with the Busy Little Bee. So swapping to the Busy Little Bee to pick up 20, 40, 60, 80, and so on percent weapon damage increases is a big deal. And it's really easy to swap to your pistol from the M1A. With this, I was hitting over 2.7 million with the Busy Little Bee. Otherwise, when it comes to time to kill and damage, I'm not worried about it. I like my M1As with scopes. If you don't like running the scope, don't run the M1A with a scope. Do something different. You can also do the Chameleon. I did play with the Chameleon for a few minutes, and that actually works really well. Of course, the Chameleon is giving you crit chance and crit damage, so you will want to rebalance the build out since this is going to give you more crit chance. So you probably want to take off some crit chance on the build and replace it with crit damage. Otherwise, this is giving you 90% weapon damage on top of that, which is, as you know, very powerful. You can also use the Scorpion. The Scorpion is a great weapon for this because it's darn powerful as well, and it paralyzes enemies, which keeps them from shooting back at you. The idea with this build is to spend quite a bit of time out of cover, kind of chasing enemies down, moving quickly. So let's look at the chest piece. So I'm running Cheska for the crits. So I got weapon damage crits and then a protection from elites mod. We'll get into that. And then I'm running kinetic momentum. So kinetic momentum is huge for healer builds. Okay, this is what I call a self-healer build. And so kinetic momentum is giving us 2% skill repair up to 15 stacks. That's 30% per skill. Then I'm running 2 repair skills. So 30% repair skills buff per skill. That's huge. The backpack. Okay, so the backpack is memento. And so of course I'm using this for all of the short-term buffs since we're running and gunning. We got 5 red cores. We got 5% weapon damage short-term buff for 10 seconds for every time we pick up a trophy. So that's 25% weapon damage buff. And so we're playing trophy to trophy. So we'll always have that active. And then we're on the long-term buffs. It's giving us 30% weapon damage. So huge, right? Huge. 55%. It's dishing out 55% weapon damage basically all the time, and then we're stacking that, so it really goes way higher. And then for bonus armor, we're getting 10% bonus armor per blue core. We got 2 of those, so that's 20% bonus armor. And that's why I'm running the armor core on this one, so that I can play into the bonus armor. The bonus armor is one of those layers of protection I was talking about. So the bonus armor is really its armor on kill. So if you look at it, it's temporary armor on kill, but it's armor on kill. So when I pick up that trophy, we got 20% blue armor for 10 seconds. Since I'm using the Doctor's Home, I'm also getting 15% white armor, so regular armor, permanently. And so together, that's 35% armor on kill on this build. Tons of survivability. So we got the strong heals per second and big spikes of heals. And then the skill efficiency is actually being used in this build. And it's a big deal for this build, which is why I definitely recommend running the memento on builds like this, because we have 30% skill efficiency coming in with this. And skill efficiency includes repair skills. So that's another 30% repair skills to each of our skills. We have 2 of them running repairs. And so this plus the chest piece is 60% repair skills. Otherwise, we're getting 3% armor regen, and that's all the armor regen on the build, but that's another layer of protection that's always happening. And the armor regen on this build is about 33,000, give or take. All right, the mask is R&K, and so the R&K gives us 20% income and repair. That only works for yourself from any repair skill, whether it's your repair skill or an ally's repair skill. It doesn't matter where or who owns the repair skill, but if it's feeding you, you're getting 20% more of it. Basically, boosting the amount of heals you get per second. This does not show up on the repair skill stats, okay? So the reality is that you're actually getting more repairs than what's being reported on the skill itself. Okay, so we got 20% income repairs, weapon damage, crits across, and then another protection from elites mod. The glove is improvised, and the reason why is because I want to add that additional protection from elites mod. And so this has crit damage, crit chance, armor, and then that puts us at a total of 50%, almost 50% protection from elites. So I have 3 mods on the build. We're getting 10% protection from elites by running survivalist. That's what survivalist dishes out for us. It also gives us the fire grenades, which is nice. The survivalist specialization gives us this Mender Seeker, and I like the Mender Seeker. I call it the BB-8, and it heals really good, but I like it because it's hands-free. It's just kind of healing. I don't have to think about it. And I'm also running the Fixer drone for the same reason. It's hands-free. It's not the strongest heals in the game, but I don't have to worry about it. It just follows me around, and I can focus on shooting and killing enemies instead. The holster is also improvised, but it doesn't have to be. I just didn't have the holster I was looking for, so I used my improvised one, but it's basically mimicking a Gruppo. So just go ahead and run a Gruppo holster. Lastly, I'm running the Fox's Prayer knee pads because I'm using the rifle, but also for the damage to targets out of cover. That's a nice little multiplicative damage buff. And then I have crit chance on this, and this gives us 10% rifle damage. Stats wise, we're looking at 56% crit chance, 118% crit damage. And remember, we're getting big spikes in weapon damage from those trophies. And hey, here's a link to that tank DPS build you also gotta try.
Follow me.